Welcome to the 707, a weekly half-hour program produced by KRCB, a service of NorCal Public Media. The 707 features voices and stories from your community, stories that inspire, stories that explore tradition, and stories that show how we are connected to each other. I'm your host, Michelle Marquis, and the subject of today's show is transhumance. Prior to about a month ago, I'd never even heard of that word, so let's start with the definition. Sarah Keiser is Executive Director of Wild Oat Hollow and one of the organizers of the Transhumance Festival, which has been happening in Petaluma, California since 2018. I got her on the line to help answer some questions. What the heck is transhumance?
Transhumance is the celebration of the historical movement of livestock. In the spring, they would go up into the mountains because it's turning into summer. So it's that transition of the animals up into the mountains. And in the fall, they transition back down to the valleys for the winter. And this was what still goes on all over the world. And we're bringing that kind of ancient tradition of doing that and pastoralism back to the city of Petaluma. And now the city of Petaluma has officially embraced it because they have their own grazing program. So that's transhumance. It's really the transition of humus, which is soil, and the animals carrying the soil on their hooves.
Okay. Because
that's where the name comes from.
Right.
Transhumance is the transition of humus.
Got it. Because I see the word human in there, and I'm like, but this is about like herds.
It's technically, that's what I mean. It's a transition of soil, but I do think it's the incorporation of humans, animals in the landscape, and us working together to tend that landscape, especially in a fire ecosystem like what we live in.
This is an ancient practice that has real benefits for a region traumatized by climate change.
California is predominantly dry and brown in the summer from invasive non-native annual plants that were brought in. Historically, California was all these big bunch grasses that stayed green year round because our native bunch grasses have root systems that go 25 feet down, and they were just outcompeted by invasives. So we use grazing animals to try to bring back that bunching grasses and that healthy system back to our native species here.
Keiser started building community grazing cooperatives in rural Pengrove, California, using the sheep and goats that she had to do vegetation management on neighbors' pastures. It kept her animals fed and kept the tall grasses trimmed and fertilized.
And of course, this was before the 2017 fires when we were less worried about dry vegetation. But what to them was a burden, because it is a lot of work to take care of properties, was a resource to me. So by building bridges with my neighborhood, I took what was their burden and turned it into a resource by just sharing the sheep and goats with them. They got to experience the enjoyment of having them. They got vegetation management, and nobody really had to take care of the animals all the time. There was this kind of co-service of tending from the livestock and co-service of tending from the humans to the livestock, all while our whole landscapes got served with vegetation management and kept us all safe from wildfire, our whole community.
The city of Petaluma started a pilot grazing program in August 2023 to help manage grasses and vegetation in parks. Keiser explains the program.
2025 is the third year of their grazing program, and they have signed a 3-year contract with their grazers, which is Two Rock Land Management. That came about, transhumance was part of it, because we were doing a lot of this work in the city of Petaluma, and also through policy and changes, the city of Petaluma was going into changing their IPM, which is their integrated pest management program. And in doing that, they wanted to eliminate synthetic chemicals and start changing how they were doing their pest management. What other tools can we apply to the landscape if we're trying to eliminate using Roundup and other sort of synthetic chemicals for our vegetation management? Also, there's policy through the state of California coming in that's removing their gas-powered equipment, like 2-stroke engines, like weed whackers. They're eventually going to have to fade those out to all electric. And eventually, they'll have to phase out diesel equipment, like tractors, to all electric. And electric equipment is great in a lot of ways, but it can't keep up with the amount of use that urban places need. Like the city with their staff, to be able to keep up electrical equipment, you just simply can't charge the batteries fast enough to get the equipment to work as quickly as like gas powered would use. I have to say, City of Petaluma was very progressive in the way they looked at this, because they saw these two things coming down the channel. We want to have a healthy ecosystem. We want to engage our community. We want to quit using synthetic chemicals unless we absolutely have to. And we want to do this in a healthy way. And we know we're losing gas-powered tools. What's one thing we could do? Grazing is one of the greatest resources you can bring in with solar-powered equipment to keep them in fencing. They do great at vegetation management and creating fuel breaks so that fires don't roll into homes and keeps the city of Petaluma safe from fires. And they're really solar powered things. The sun grows the grass and the sheep go out there and they eat the grass and they grow wool and they grow food for their community.
I asked Keiser if there are enough animals to graze all of the agricultural land in Sonoma County.
It's more about creating a system that works. It's not that we don't have the people with the knowledge and we have the animals. We just need the systems in place to make this work. It's all right there. It's really about us coming together and opening gates and making it happen.
Except you want to keep the gates closed.
Except when they're serving the neighbors. You open the gate so they go to the next door neighbor. There's one of the grazing cooperatives that I helped that came about in West Petaluma. They call themselves Neighbor Gate because they literally all have gates and the sheep they open a gate and they go to the neighbors, and they open a gate and they go to the never neighbors.
Keiser says she started working with resource conservation districts, also known as RCDs.
We have 2 in our county. We have Gold Ridge and Sonoma. They started the Land Smart Grazing Program after the 2017 fires. And their program is to find funding to help build out these kind of projects and to help people develop sustainable grazing opportunities for themselves and their community.
She says this practice is also financially smart.
Most people who have livestock operations don't own a lot of land because it's very expensive to own here. So instead of owning land and moving the livestock around, they go out and serve landscapes all across their county with their livestock to do the same work, but through the movement of the animals. Which is kind of, if you think about it historically, back before we had a lot of roads and there was the populations we have here, livestock ungulates, deer, elk, all the different animals that were native to this landscape would roam across the landscape in big, huge herds, providing the service. We are in a way replicating that in a world that has roads and highways and systems in place that they can't do that naturally anymore. So we replicate it within the model that we currently have.
Petaluma is not the only city who has embraced grazing as an effective vegetation management tool.
The city of Cloverdale this year is starting their grazing program. They're piloting a new program this year with a contract grazer that's right up next to them in Cloverdale. So that's the other thing about the urban spaces is they're hiring contract grazers that live right next to their city and keeping that like really close connection of animals to landscape to people. And then paying that local person rather than like hiring someone out of Fresno or something. So I love that the cities are utilizing that economic system within their urban environment. And City of Santa Rosa is coming to talk about potentially building up their grazing cooperative. As you may know, City of Santa Rosa has had quite a few fires come through that town, and they're really trying to determine in a very specific way how to implement grazing to create fire breaks and keep all of their communities safe from wildfire and to do that vegetation management in a really conscious way.
All of this leads to the Transhumance Festival itself.
The most thrilling part of the Transhumance Festival is us bringing back that, what I talked about in the beginning, the moving of the livestock through town. So we first run the sheep from the Petaluma Fairgrounds into Steamer Landing Park. So we're literally herding the sheep through town, and we welcome all volunteers that want to participate to come and help us do that. We need volunteers to line up on the road to make sure they don't go the wrong direction. There's also a border collie that helps us. At Steamer Landing Park, they're going to graze that park. We'll have live music. We have good food. We'll have some weaving demos. We'll have a shearing demo so you can see a couple of the sheep getting shorn and talk about why we shear. And then you can take that fiber and wash it and play with it and spin it and felt it. And there's lots of good food and drinks and music for the adults while the kids play.
When we come back, I'll take you to the fairgrounds and we'll follow the sheep as they make their way through town. I'm Michelle Marquis, and you're listening to the 707 on KRCB.
KRCB is Sonoma County's NPR station. Wondering what makes us stand out? It's simple, our unwavering commitment to this community. Morning Music, hosted by Brian Griffith, sets the perfect tone for your day.
Brian here with you on Sonoma County's NPR station.
As the sun climbs high, join Doug Jane for Midday Music.
Doug Jane with you. Thanks for tuning in.
It's the soundtrack of Sonoma County. Then, stay informed with All Things Considered, featuring insightful reporting from the KRCB newsroom, ensuring you're always in the loop.
For Manzana, the company that helped keep Sebastopol's famous Gravenstein apple alive, their 103rd year in business will be their last.
Your home for the best in local news and music. Because when the community sings, we're here to listen. Your radio, your stories, your station. KRCB 104.9, Sonoma County's NPR station.
Welcome back to the 707. I'm Michelle Marquis. When I arrive at the fairgrounds Saturday morning, Sarah Keiser is talking to the volunteers about how to help the sheep make it over to Steamer Landing.
Just waiting for them to go the right direction.
Volunteers are wearing green and orange bandanas, and they soon head out to their posts along D Street, leading towards the park along the river. I walk along D Street talking to various people along the way, including Ellie and her little sister, who are posing for pictures with their family. I ask Ellie if she's excited.
Yes!
Have you done this before?
No,
What kind of training have you had?
I didn't have any training.
But we're all very fast learners here, so it's going to be great.
Have you ever seen the sheep come through?
No.
All right. Well, this is very exciting.
These are my sister.
This is your sister. What's your name?
Georgia, and I never seen this place.
What do you think of sheep? Do you like them?
Yes.
What do you like about them?
When they run around and they're fluffy.
It's true. They are very fluffy. Some of the folks who are waiting for the herd actually live along the sheep route.
My name's Paula.
Do you live on this street?
I live right here.
So have you seen this before?
Last year was my first time, and so this will be my second time seeing this.
I see you're just sort of comfy here. You got your cup of coffee?
Absolutely. I'm just making the best of my Saturday morning with sheep running down and leaping down my street. It couldn't be a better morning.
A bit further down D Street, I ask a volunteer named Corey about the white-coated mesh fencing that is along either side of the street.
This is just electric fencing, so it's like plastic mesh with wires woven in. And so once that gets fired up, which is not going to happen today, none of it will be electrified. But when they are using it, you remember it for a good long while after you get shocked.
So how will it be used today?
The sheep are trained to this electric fence, so when they see it, they already have an idea that it's a deterrent. So hopefully, this little bit of unenergized fence and a little bit of momentum will keep them moving straight down the road.
At the corner of Wilson and D Street, there are lots of people gathered on each corner. I meet a family who brought their dog along to watch the event. What's your name?
Megan Kelly.
Carter. Rita.
And who's this?
Bernie.
I think Bernie thinks this might be a ball. It's nice and red and fun. Have you guys seen this before?
We've seen it every year.
Oh, every year?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
Back when it was over on going up to Helen Putnam. It's just such a fun Petaluma town tradition. There's so many people out, sunny day. Bernie likes it.
So has Bernie come with you?
No, this is his first year.
Oh, okay. So is this a sheep herding dog or what kind of dog?
He's a Bernedoodle.
He's a Bernedoodle. How do you anticipate he's going to react?
We're a little nervous. If we have to walk away, we have to walk away. But I think he'll find it interesting.
Thank you, Bernie. Good dog. We're pretty close to a main thoroughfare in town. Cars are whizzing by on busy Lakeville Street. Petaluma police officers are starting to block off side streets, and 2 motorcycle units are rolling up and down D Street. I talk with a man named Jack who came from Healdsburg to volunteer. He's holding something that looks like a canoe paddle with a skinny handle. What kind of training did you get to be a shepherd?
We've been contract grazing, hiring contract grazers in our neighborhood up in Healdsburg for the last 3 years, so I spend hours with the animals because I love it.
Wonderful. You have a tool with you. What is this?
So this is just to make some noise. So when they're coming, I'll alert everybody that they're coming, and then we go quiet. Okay. And then we try to make believe we're an electrified fence.
Nice. We can finally see the sheep coming down D Street, and they're preceded by a man on an ATV quad. You can hear Sarah Keiser telling people to move back to the sides of the street as everyone leans in, trying to get a good look at the sheep as they trot down the road. I crouch down with my microphone to get sound of their hooves tapping along the pavement. It kind of sounds like rain. The herd are followed by very attentive sheepdogs who are vigilant at their heels, and then the shepherds, followed by the excited crowds who form their own herd, falling in line behind the sheep as we all make our way across Lakeville and on towards Steamer Landing Park.
That's so funny.
Some people are breaking off and heading to different parts of the city. I spy one of Petaluma's most famous residents, and I make a beeline for her. I'm with the NPR station in Rohnert Park. What's your name?
I'm Sue Conley.
I thought that was you, Sue. Hi, how are you? So you came down to watch the Transhumance?
It's my first Transhumance in Petaluma, but I love the spirit of it and the tradition because I'm a cheesemaker. So They do that in the Alps with the cows coming down off of the mountains for the spring grass, and that we celebrate sheep, agriculture, and the community. It's a fantastic day.
Connolly is one of the founders of Cowgirl Creamery, one of California's best-known artisan cheesemakers. I follow the herd of people along the path to Steamer Landing Park and come across some people and dogs heading in the opposite direction. I recognize the sheepdogs from earlier.
Is this one of the dogs that was part of it?
Yeah, except she's really old.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she's 14. But yeah, she's our sheep herder. Aw, Lace. But yeah, she's tired and worn out.
What's her name?
Lacey. We don't use her too much anymore, but we brought her today because it's a little bit more low-key, than at home. So.
What's your name?
My name's Lynette Cornett.
And how long have you been involved with this Transhumance Festival?
This is our second year. Those are our sheep. We're the ones that bring the sheep. Okay. So we have 2,000 ewes that we have in Tamales area, and so this is our second year coming.
I try to continue on, but Lacey moves in front of my feet to stop me.
It's hurting me, too.
She will. She likes to be the boss.
I start to hear women singing as I get closer to the red barn that houses the River Heritage Center at Steamer Landing. It's a group called Gradina, the Balkan Music Ensemble. They're dressed in traditional clothing with white blouses and red embroidered skirts. There are lots of tents with organizations like Petaluma City Parks and Community Alliance with Family Farmers. I stop at the Sonoma Resource Conservation District booth and talk with Maria Wnorowski, Community Engagement Program Manager.
We do a lot of work with grazing, both with private landowners and with public lands, and now with the city of Petaluma too, which has been very exciting. And a lot of the grazing focus is that a lot of this land was naturally grazed for thousands and thousands of years, and it's very low impact.
I see a man demonstrating weaving techniques on a loom.
When I step on the pedals...
Nearby is a woman spinning wool into yarn, alternating her feet back and forth to spin the wheel while explaining her technique.
If the fiber's too slick, it'll get away from you.
I see my colleague Noah Abrams, who volunteered as a shepherd today.
Hey, Michelle. Good. I got a little bit of video of the sheep moving down the street there. I'm trying to interview one of them, though, and that is going to be the greater challenge.
Interview a sheep?
Yes. Well, of course. Who would not want to interview the lovely sheep? And it's great to see everybody out here at the Petaluma River Park at Steamer Landing. We got people in dancing clothes. We got a band that's about to start up. We got all sorts of wool products. It's going to be a good time.
What did you think of your role as a shepherd?
I've never wanted to do anything more in my life. Fulfilled a lifelong dream. I was very surprised to see how the sheep move, and it was great to see them kind of like jumping and running around. The dogs really make a big difference, and calmness, very important. Did not realize that. And they really do try to run into every single little open area or like nook and cranny. They like the open lanes and everything. So it was funny to see them move about, and the fence helped a lot. And it was the corner was not their favorite thing in the world. They started doing a little bit of circling and everything, but once we got them around the corner back onto that straightaway, it was running along.
There's a band setting up who could not be better suited to the Transhumance Festival. They're called Van Goat, and I talk with one of the members named Ben.
I'm the keyboard player and rhythm guitar player for Van Goat.
Why is there a pineapple here?
The pineapple is a musical instrument, so I touch it and it triggers sounds. No. Yep. So we're going to have an air horn today, a theremin, a couple of musical notes, maybe some G's, maybe some A's. Okay. Keyboardist / gadget manipulator. It'll be a lot of fun. Excited to be here.
That's very cool. So Van Goat, where did that name come from?
The name, we made a spreadsheet where we all put little X's next to the names that we liked, and Van Goat was the name that we all agreed upon. We're a swing punk band based in Oakland, California. Aiden, our singer, is born and raised in Petaluma.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And has done a lot of volunteer work here for Friends of the Petaluma River. He did some outdoor education stuff, so we've done events at this property many times, and always have a really great time.
Yeah.
That's Derek. He's the bass player in Van Goat.
My name's Derek Burrell, available for weddings, bar mitzvahs, brisses, etc.
Thanks for getting the plug in there. I appreciate that.
Yeah, all right. Come on out. You still got time.
Thanks a lot.
The sheep are corralled in a makeshift enclosure and people are gathered around it. I talked to a man named Josh who is introducing his children to the animals.
I think it's such a wonderful tradition. It's so sweet. Like the events that we do in town that bring everyone together and are kind of casual and loose and allow people to participate in different ways, I think really helps build the community.
What did the little ones think of it?
Dylan is really, I'm telling the radio about you. This is Dylan's first time maybe seeing this many sheep at one time. Okay. So this is kind of a big deal.
Nice. Creating a nice little pile of grass for them. Oh, that's so sweet. That's really kind of you. Are you hoping that the sheep will eat the grass that you put out? Nice. That's very sweet.
Look, Dylan, the ladies are singing to the sheep now. There's so few traditions that we have nowadays that really connect all of us to the land and to all the animal husbandry around Sonoma County and stuff. And so it's really sweet to see it in practice and like in community.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
I take a moment to listen to the women sing to the sheep in their enclosure. I'm your host and producer of this program, Michelle Marquis. Additional reporting in this episode by Noah Abrams. This show is a service of NorCal Public Media. Our president and CEO is Darren Lachelle.